All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay here. We are working on trying to continue to troubleshoot OBS, which is our streaming platform. So sorry for the back and forth that you saw before I went live here. I was waiting for YouTube to say go live and good morning. So thanks for sticking around as we again continue to diagnose issues. Just before I hit the go live button, OBS, which is our streaming software, decided it was going to crash again. So I do not know what the issue is. I'm still trying to troubleshoot this one, but we're getting there. All right, guys. Good morning. Thanks for joining us as. Let me start over again. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another Ask Scanner School live session here on YouTube, where I come by every first Saturday, usually of the month. You know, this is the second Saturday, and we answer your scanner radio related questions. So I got the headphones on to hear if I can hear myself, but again, the loop back doesn't seem to be working. So these are just a waste. They just make me look like I know what I'm doing, even though I apparently don't. It's amazing. It's it's one of those mornings, I guess you could say. So if this is your first time here, thanks for being a part of the live feed. You can leave your questions for me in the chat box right here on YouTube. And if you are catching this on a replay, then again, leave your questions down below because we'll try and circle back during a month and answer those questions at the top of the next Ask Scanner School session, or just as a follow-up video. So again, we have a couple of users already, or a couple of watchers already in on studio. So thank you so much for watching and waiting for me. We've got Chris over from Michigan. Jim is in. Jim, good morning again. Good to see you on there. And thanks also for being a part of our Patreon community. And it was good speaking to you this past Tuesday during that. Joe is in from Wisconsin. Good morning, Joe. Let's see. He says that Milwaukee Brewers are rolling right now with an epic win over the Mets last night. Yeah, I know. Just go ahead. Start the morning rubbing that one in. Thanks so much. It's a good thing I missed last night's game. I saw the score was 2-0, and then I shut it down. I was wiped out last night. So let's see. We got Chris, Jim. Nick is in. Nick from the UK. Good morning, Nick. How are you doing? And thanks for joining us over from the other side of the pond. So yes, we scheduled these at this time with you guys in mind, figuring that it's early afternoon there. So if you guys weren't busy during the day, you'd be able to join us on these sessions on Saturday afternoons, your time. So thank you so much, Nick, for being there. And 2E0TNH, nice call. I remember speaking many years ago with somebody on Packet with a 2E1 call. And I actually still remember it pretty vividly. So yeah, it's good times. Packet radio is my gateway drug into worldwide communications, I guess you could say. All right, let's see what else we have here. Jim is asking the Icom R6 versus the R20. And again, we've got TV88 Key S3 is in from Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you for joining us there. So I would love to break down a top-down view and go through some of these different radios and views here, but I am so afraid of touching buttons right now and breaking connections that we are just going to leave things right now as a camera shot view, and we'll start going and grabbing some radios. So the R20, that's a classic there, Jim. You're going to definitely make me have to dig into the back vault here and talk about the R20. Let me go and move over here, and we'll grab those radios off the shelf for you. Okay, here is the R20 right here, and the R6 is not far behind. It is somewhere. Okay, we got the R6. So let's see. This one's up and running. Let me lower the volume on this. All right, I do not have the specs handy on either one of these. Let's see if we've got some batteries or something in this one. Let's see. Okay, we've got the lithium ion pack, it looks like, in this one. It's swollen, whatever it is. Okay, lithium ion pack on this one. So it probably doesn't have any juice in it. Really would love to power this one on. Let's see what it does. You know, the nice thing about some of these radios is when they first came out, they were quite expensive. Extremely expensive. But as time progresses, things kind of go down in value a little bit. And you can only buy them on the second, via second hand. So eBay or Radio Reference Classifieds or something like that. So a lot of the radios that you see in my collection were acquired in that kind of fashion, where I couldn't afford them when they first came out, or I just didn't have the need for them then. But now when things kind of drop a little bit in price, you kind of get them on the used market. But if you watch, you may score more for less. So I was able to score the ICR20 with a desktop charger, a couple of batteries, maybe even a case if I remember correctly, and definitely a lot less than if I had bought it new. All right, so the ICR20, let's start with the old one first. And again, this one will not be powered on for you guys, but it's a bigger radio. And I'm looking, there we go. You know what? Let me do this to make life easier. I always forget I have these here. Even though I stare at them all day long, you become blind to some stuff. All right, there's some lights for you. So here's the Icom ICR20. It's a bigger radio. Got a nice display on it. And it is a dual watch receiver. Okay, and again, we call these receivers, not scanners. And what's nice about the dual watch is, if you guys are familiar with your Baofeng radios and some other receivers, is you can monitor 2 frequencies at one time, which is great. So you can put one into scan, and I think you can monitor the one. So I know what the Baofeng radios is, it's one or the other. But with the Icom, I believe you can have one on full-time monitor and then scan through memory channels on the other side. So what's also nice about this radio too is it's got a built-in recorder, and again, like many other Icom radios, you can quickly set the step size for your VFO, and I believe this also allows you to tag some of the memories too. So it is a nicer radio. I do like this one, although I do not use it enough to be fair. For those of you who enjoy Letterkenny, that would trigger something in the back of your mind, but yeah, it's definitely a nice radio. It does have a BNC connector, which by today's standards is a little bit old, but nonetheless still a nice radio. The Icom ICR5, I believe, has the same specs as far as the memory channels or the frequency range. Definitely a much smaller radio. This one is definitely a lot more pocketable, so to speak, especially when you have the Rib Poker 1000 attached to it here. And what is nice about it too is the fact that it has an SMA connector, which again can be a little bit more fragile if you're not careful with it. So this is a simplified version of a receiver. So again, 1 channel at a time, 6-character display on this one. You have to remember that these keys, right? They're multi-function keys on the front, and that means single press, long press, function press. So, and I think even function long press. So there's a lot that you can do with these radios, and even I think a power on press. So you kind of have to have a cheat sheet with you when operating a radio like this, or be very, very familiar with how it works. And I have found that they do both work very well with an airband. Again, I don't use these radios nearly enough to give you a full and in-depth, well, this one stinks because of this, and this one excels here. If you're familiar with the car analogy, these would be trailer queens or garage queens in my shack right now. So they sit on the shelf, they look pretty, they look nice, but given the ability to grab one over the other, I will be grabbing an Icom ICR6 for the mere fact we started off with. This one has a lithium-ion battery pack in it at the moment, and this one has 2 AA batteries. So it makes it a lot easier to just grab and go, and also change on the side. But that's not to say you can't have a battery pack in the ICR20. And for some reason or another, I think I do have a battery pack for the ICR20, but I do not see one right now. It might be, I think it's in the same batteries as the ICR30, which I have, which if you haven't seen is a very unique radio. I'm sorry, the ICR3. The ICR3, this one here actually had a TV receiver on it, so when we had analog TV, you'd be able to watch TV on the receiver. It does work as an auxiliary display. Oh boy, the bottom of this one does not look bueno. Definitely some corrosion on the contact. Oh no, that battery exploded in here. Okay, this one goes back on the shelf so it can be cleaned. You know it's bad when you pop the battery door and the crystal falls out of it. All right, well that's it. Kate, I have an AOR Mini. Another radio that I have that I don't use nearly enough. This radio is a nice little receiver as well. Let's see what we have in here. Again, empty, of course. That's a good sign. 2 AA batteries. Again, I haven't really used this one enough. I think because I am missing the data connection to it, which I would love to have. I do have the DC connector, but the computer interface cable is really difficult to find. Again, I bought one of these secondhand. This one is really, really clean. But I do like the Icoms because they allow you to usually have a drop-in charger. Even the ICR6 has connections on the bottom for the charger. Again, use what you have available to you, even if it is a Baofeng radio, because something is better than nothing, all right? And having something in your hand, which again we're going to talk about on a short form video, is better than using somebody else's equipment if it's just streaming to the internet, unless you can control it. So that's always pretty cool to do too. So Kate, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here. Sharon, I just got a SDS200 scanner. Never had a scanner before. Could use a little insight. So the SDS200 is kind of it is a full bells and whistles scanner radio, top of the line. And the nice thing about the SDS200 is the fact that it interfaces directly with radio reference. So you can almost drag and drop your area into the radio. So what we mean by that is you can use Sentinel, which is a software that ships with the scanner, and you run that on your Windows computer. Don't forget to do the net framework upgrade. You're going to need that, I believe, to run Sentinel. And then what happens is it brings up a software that kind of looks familiar if you're used to file structures in a hierarchy environment. So you basically press the plus sign and it extends out the sublayers, and you press plus again, it brings up the sublayers. And it's always good to kind of have a side-by-side with radio references database and Sentinel so you can kind of get an idea of where things are mapped out. One thing to remember is that the statewide and the US-wide systems are also in, that you can be found in the state and county levels. Okay, that's where you'd find all that information. So what I would suggest, just to get up and running with it, is connect the scanner to Sentinel, do a database update, do a firmware upgrade on it, and then put your zip code in, and then set the agencies up the way you want them. And when I say by agencies, I mean service tags. So you have Fire TAC, Fire Talk, Law Dispatch, Law TAC, Law Talk. So you have to have those turned on and enabled. And again, I wish I could show you on the computer without actually crashing anything. So If things were up and running, I'd be able to switch screens on you, but I don't have that ability at the moment to be able to do that. I don't know if it, again, because I'm running a secondary monitor or not, or if there's just too much going on here. So I'm just trying to leave things alone here. But what you would do is you would put your zip code in, and the radio will self-program itself to just that area. Basically, it's just filtering the radio reference database down by geodata. And then what you want to do is go into your preferences and turn on or off the services that you want to monitor, and then set your range. And I would suggest setting the range for a very, very low number, like 0. And the reason why I say 0 is because the way that the database works with Sentinel is there's a radius based off of where you are, and then there's a radius based off of where the coverage area is. So if, in my example here, I live on Long Island, and if I set the range too wide, it's going to want to monitor Connecticut and New Jersey and parts of Long Island that I can't physically listen to, even with an outdoor antenna from where I am. So if you set it to 0, that means there needs to be a perfect overlap of where you are and where the coverage range is. So if you want to listen to like outside counties or something like that, then yes, start increasing the range. But at least a range of 0 will get you exactly what covers over you in the radio reference database. So that'll get you up and running. After that, and you start listening to some stuff, then you can go back into Sentinel, and you can start cherry picking exactly what it is you want to listen to and start monitoring those systems. So what you would do is you would go into the global database, the top database at the top. You drill down to country, which again is U.S. or Canada. Then you go into your state, you go into your county, and then you start going into like the trunk systems or the county systems. Again, look at the radio reference database side by side to see where you have to go on this. And I know not, if you don't have much experience, then there's a lot that might be going over your head. But what you can do is you can then pick the exact departments that you want. You select them, you right click on them, you insert into a favorites list, and then you can create the favorites list. And then you can recall that favorites list in the scanner. So that's a good way of filtering out your frequencies and what you want to do there. And again, if you really are stuck and you want to learn more about this, I will be creating more content based around this on our YouTube channel and short form channels that we're posting on daily. So that is in the long-term plan. But if you want something more immediate, I am available for tutoring. You can book me over on our website at scannerschool.com/tutoring. In fact, I will just drop a link for that in the chat. Going through the chat here, Nick is saying, isn't really much trunking in the UK, mainly narrow FM and DMR, so the Alinco DJX100 seems ideal. The Astincos, yes, so you're in a much different world out there, Nick, than we are here in the US, where a lot of your public safety is mandated to be encrypted, is also on Tetra, which again, you're very limited to what radios are even out there to receive Tetra. Even if you could receive Tetra, a lot of that would just be encrypted. Yeah, writing is on the wall here in the US. Hopefully that things stay more open here than they are where you are. But again, a lot of DMR, a lot of Tetra where you are. PMR and DMR are two animals that should not be confused. So the availability to monitor things are different where you are. So I do see a lot of more people using Alincos or AORs or Icoms or stuff like that over in the UK than over here, where Uniden and Whistler have a much bigger stronghold because of the trunking abilities and stuff like that the Icoms and Alincos and AORs seem to lack on their support over there. But again, yeah, the best thing that you do is use what works best for you. And again, there's still a lot out there. Yeah, I know it's not police and fire and EMS and some of the excitable stuff, but there's still other things out there. And again, like we say, the secrets are in the searches, and just search the bands, scan the bands, And again, you may find some stuff out there that you didn't know existed, and that's a lot of the fun in the scanner radio hobby. And the radio hobby in general is just finding things that you didn't know existed. Again, and that holds true for ham radio, right? Because as ham radio operates, we are seeking that QSO or that contact with another station. So again, we're always spinning the dial, right, trying to find somebody else to talk to. And then the I'm just trying to think of Nick's question in there that he just posted. So we're always looking for the next thing, right? And again, when it comes to shortwave radio listeners, right, they're always scanning the dial, trying to find that station and log on the station. So again, the same should hold true when it comes to the scanner radio hobby. I know a lot of us get into it just to hear fire and police, and that's just where the action is. But again, when your favorite TV show goes off the air, we don't throw our TVs, right? We find something else to watch, and we should find something else to listen. Cheers, guys. It's just coffee. Okay. TV88 is saying you have 2 Unication G5s and a G4. 2 of them have broken USB connectors. How do you get them repaired? So the best way to do that is to reach out to your Unication dealer. If you do not have one, full disclosure, I am a Unication dealer. You can go to our website, eastcoastpages.com. So I'm just going to put that here in the chat. And you could fill out a repair form. I think it's repairs, but if it's not, if that one 404 is on you, then it's just repair. But I think it's repairs. You could fill out a repair form there. We'll take care of you. If it's under warranty, then that's a fully covered repair. You just pay for shipping back to Unication. If it's outside of warranty, there is a repair fee associated with that. It's a flat rate for the USB port only. They will not look at anything else besides USB port, and it's around the $55, $65 range. Again, plus shipping to have the USB port repair, which is a lot better than the $200 plus fee to get everything repaired on that one. So again, for that price, it's only the USB port. If there's other things wrong with it, it's $200 plus. They will repair the USB and everything else that is wrong with it. They will not recase it, but if something else is broken, then they will do that. If you don't need the USB to program it, you can at least use a drop-in or amplified charger to at least keep the Unication pager charged. And again, I always recommend getting a desktop or amplified charger because of the issues with the or how delicate the USB cables are on those things, USB ports. All right, so going through here, any tips on the Pro 106? Pro 106 is a nicer radio. Again, boy, we are cleaning the shelf. We're just pulling out the equipment here. So again, as I pull these out, oh, we got batteries. We got batteries in this one. And they still work. All right. We'll leave them in for now, but they got to come out. Nope, low voltage, replace the batteries. Those are gone. I always like to check the battery situation on the radios every time I pick one up. This one, again, I can feel it. Got batteries in it. These are the Uniden rechargeables. Is that sacrilegious to throw the Uniden rechargeables into a Radio Shack scanner? I do not know. Let's see if this powers. Well, Radio Shack Whistler. This one's a Whistler scanner. These croaked too. Okay. So the Pro 106 is an early version of the Whistler 1040. Okay. The one thing I will say to you right away on either one of these radios, right? They're pretty much the same. Do not interchange the firmware, okay? So do not attempt to put Whistler firmware in a Radio Shack scanner. You will brick the scanner. What I will say is make sure that every single talk group that you have in that radio is assigned to a frequency list. What do they call it? Favorites list, scan list. What do they call it? What do they call it in the Whistler world? Scan list, object. It's object-oriented scanning, right? Scan list? Favorites list? I don't know what they call it. Leave it to me in the chat so I can jot my memory on this one. But if you don't assign that talk group or that frequency to a list, favorites list, scan list, object list, whatever it is, you'll get a heap error on the radio. And you have to get back in there with the software, assign that talk group or frequency to a list, and then send it back. Okay, that'll clear out that heap error. So basically what it's telling you is you have an object in here that's not defined, and you have to define it to a list. The nice thing about these Whistler radios that I absolutely love, and again, I'm saying Whistler, even though it's a Radio Shack or a GRE, is the fact that you can put a frequency in one time. You can put a trunk system in one time. And then you can continue to refer back to that object, that frequency, that talk group, that trunk system over and over and over again. So instead of like on a Uniden radio, having to put that information in for every single favorites list or every single scan list or into every single bank, you do it once. The memory management on a Whistler GRE, again, it's GRE's system, but they did an outstanding job with setting those up. Really do like the way that works. The Pro 106, the GRE PSR 300, no 500, and the Whistler 1040. Again, it was also rebranded too as a Pro 651, maybe. They don't like phase 2. I don't think they do phase 2 at all. No, they don't do it at all. The only Whistler that does phase 2, I think, is the TRX1. And they hate simulcast. So if you have simulcast in your area, they're not going to work for you at all. So that becomes a problem. All right. I would say the heap issue is the biggest thing. There are some other expert settings in there you can tweak and set up for the Viswar fluid needs to be changed. Yeah, horsey. Don't forget to shine those antennas with your antenna wax also. And also top off your liquid squelch. So it's important just to remember that these radios are getting aged. They don't like phase 2. They hate simulcast environments, and you got to watch out for those heap errors. Other than that, you can go into the expert settings, and you can change the thresholds, the AGC thresholds, to kind of improve on some of the voice quality on there. So just start tweaking around with some of those. And a great source for that is Mark's Scanners. So we'll just drop that in chat here. So I think it's new.markscanners.com. And you can take a look at some of his guides for the programming and setting up that radio, and also some of the expert settings that they recommend. Nick is asking, do I think the SDS 200 will be a waste of money? No, that all depends where you are. Like where I am, SDS 200 is worth every penny that it costs. And I say that is because my neighbor, my county is encrypted, okay, but my neighboring county is on a P25 system with simulcast. And even though I'm just outside that county, and even with some of the tips and tricks on how to monitor a simulcast system with a non-simulcast radio, hands down, it's the Unication pager, it's the SDS series, and it is an SDR, okay? One of those three I need to monitor the neighboring simulcast system, all right? So it's worth it. If you're in a simulcast area, you got to have something like the SDS 100, SDS 200, a Unication pager. And again, I say that as a non-dealer, you would need a Unication pager or learn how to use a RTL device, a stick. And again, we have a course available to get you up and running on how to use a software-defined radio. And I put the link in there. All right. So definitely worth the money. But where you are, Nick, that's a whole nother ball game. So you can upgrade the SDS to DMR and XDN. XDN probably doesn't help you at all. There is a waterfall display on there, but there's no database connectivity to radio reference outside of US and Canada, which really stinks. Because I know there's a European version, and I know people that are using it and struggling in Australia. You have to go in and you have to use Sentinel and put your own lists in there. Or even better, though, is if you use Butel's software. It's, again, I got an affiliate link for you here. You can use Butel's software, and it's third party, but you can use that to program up the SDS 100, 200, and all the other flavors of scanner radios that they support. And you can then import from the radio reference database that way if you have a premium subscription to Radio Reference, and you can manage your own favorites list that way. So no drag and drop from Sentinel. Sentinel you'll still need for a firmware upgrade on the radio, but not for anything else. Another option is ProScan. ProScan will also allow you to connect to the radio reference database, manage your database and favorites list through that software. I use both. I find programming a radio with Butel a lot easier than programming a radio with ProScan, but that is just my where I'm more comfortable. Because I've been using Butel since the BC 780 XLT days. I'm just very comfortable in that environment. So that's just where I tend to use all that. Lots of marine, airband, and local companies around me. Yeah, the other nice thing too, Nick, about the SDS 200 is the fact that the screen is really wide, and you get more information on it. So you are, I think, topped off at 20-something characters on a display, as opposed to 16 or 11 or 6 or something like that. All right, Sharon, my pleasure on that one. And again, I do need to make more specific videos on these radios. And again, a lot of things that I have in the hopper that I want to do. It's a time issue. It's an energy issue. For those who don't know, I had been battling stage 4 cancer, so I do have a lot of medical commitments still, energy level issues, and some nights I just come from work and it's just right to sleep after dinner. So trying our best. Also need to manage in family time and weekend time and stuff like that. So yeah, it's this is sometimes takes a back burner, but again, I this is something I enjoy doing, so I want to do more of it. Not that it's any excuse, but that's just the reality of life. Let's see what we have here. So Shannon, yeah, if you need more help, just let me know, and you also could always reach out and contact me via social media or via email, or book me on the tutoring session if you need more help with that. We also have down here, Kate, at the very bottom. What is a good budget radio bag? I do not have any suggestions for you in this one, although I do know that there are some guys sharing their go bags. Back in the day, when detachable faceplates were a thing on car radios, and when your cell phone was as big as your arm, and you had to have a carry bag for that, Case Logic made some great bags that could be repurposed as radio bags, and that's what I would use to do. I had my 2 meter 440 HT in a radio bag, a couple of antennas, a couple of pens, a small pad and paper, a small pad of paper, and stuff like that I could grab and go if I needed to. And it was nice because my speaker mics would be held in air, and DC cables, and it was a analog cell phone case, so it was the size of an analog cell phone, but it held my two-way radio in there, my handheld radio in there just fine as well. So that was good. So you could find, I mean, you could look at some EDC bags. The EDC market is very big, everyday carry. But a lot of guys are sharing that information on our Facebook group. So again, you can get that over at facebook.com. I'm sorry, scannerschool.com/Facebook group. So there is we have a good community on there that not always busy, but still good nonetheless. And so that would come into there. Dave is in. Sorry to hear you're going through the same thing, Dave. If you want to reach out, you have any questions, or just to vent or whatever, I'm here for you. reach out to me directly through my website if you want. There's a contact form in there. Let me know that it's you, Dave from California, and we could trade some more stories, or just help you out. Sorry to hear you're still going through it. It's a wild ride, and I hope that your diagnosis isn't as severe as mine was, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm in remission 2 years now, but every 3 months we get that blood draw that raises the anxiety a little bit. So yeah, there's that. So again, Dave, good luck with everything, and I hope that things go very well for you. And again, like I said, you want to reach out, let me know. I'd love to chat with you. TV is saying, trouble with DMR from Sentinel. I get stuck when it's time to run the LCN Finder. Are you running the LCN Finder in Discovery mode or not? Because sometimes, LCN Finder can be tricky, especially when it's not a busy system. What LCN Finder basically does is, I'm going to say this, it takes the fun out of it for me. Truthfully, I like to say, what I like to do is I like to run software like DSD Plus or something like that can monitor a trunk system, and I'll leave one software-defined radio on the control channel, and then I'll watch and see what it's telling the radios to do. Is it saying to go to channel 5, channel 6, channel 7, channel 9, right? And I'll also look at the system in the FCC website and find out what frequencies are licensed for that call sign. Again, I know there might be multiple call signs based on a system, but at least that's a good point to start with. And I'll load them into a software-defined radio application or something like that, and I'll just start looking and seeing, okay, when the command comes across that says go to channel 5, what frequency is active? And then I'll map that frequency to channel 5, and then I'll see if the next time it says go to channel 5, if I can follow that transmission. And I do that with software-defined radio because I can physically see it. However, if you have two radios, and you can do this with an analog radio because you're not really listening for the transmission or the communication, you just want to know there's activity out there. So you can put all the voice channels into a second scanner and monitor the control channel and just look at it and see if when it says what talk group should be active, right? Because you'll see that information if you're looking for it, just reading the overhead data, right? Not actually physically in trunk mode, but just monitoring the trunk mode. You'll see that activity come up on the screen, and just wait and hear when your scanner put the voice file scanner into scan mode, and then find the voice channel that becomes active, right? When you see that, and I should give you some sort of idea, right? I'm pretty sure that it seems to do that. If it tells you the channel that it should be active. But again, if you're having trouble with that, trunk discovery mode will tell you, we'll log that too. It should say channel 5, channel 7, whatever, and you can go that way with it. Even the spectrum scan can help you out with that a little bit as well. So SDR is the easiest way to do it, but it is still possible with two scanners. And again, the secrets are in the searches. This what makes it really fun. And then all of a sudden now you got a trunk system mapped out, right? And I've spent afternoons just doing that. Then yeah. So it's definitely a fun thing to do. Kate says thank you, and thank you very much, Kate, for your questions and being part of the community. We appreciate having you here. Sharon's been licensed ham radio operator for 48 years. So that is a tick longer than I've been on this earth, but it's not the same hobby as it was 48 years ago, but it's still a very exciting hobby. I will give you that. I've been licensed since the early 90s, and a lot has definitely changed. And what's nice about the hobby is that it teaches you a lot. So as things change, it gives you an opportunity to learn and to try new things. So it is it's definitely a fun hobby to be into. I'll tell you that. TV says you get confused. Let me roll back on what you get confused with. But yeah, if you need more help, again, we also have a Discord community too that, well, it's not manned 24/7. You can always ask for help in there. just dropping a link in the chat for that. So if you do need help, we're also available there as a community to kind of give you a hand. Justin's in, just joined. How are you? Hope all is well. We're doing good, Justin. Thank you for being in there today, and things are going good for now. So we're doing good. Your licensed amateur radio operator, what's my favorite mode for hams? DMR, D-Star, or Fusion? Any thoughts on M17? So M17 I haven't played around with. We do have a guy in our Discord group. I got something in my eye here. We have a guy in our Discord group who is part, I believe he's part of the development for M17. So he's very active on M17 and getting up and running. I haven't played around with M17, and in fact, the author of PyStar just removed support for M17 from PyStar, so I haven't really played around with M17 at all. As far as the digital modes, I've done D-Star, and I'm actually I help out when I can or when I'm asked to on the local D-Star network here for NC2EC, and so I've done D-Star for a while. I do have older radios, an Icom IC91AD and a Icom IC88 or 880 rather. Don't get to play around those too much. My hotspot is set up right now for DMR. I have a TYT 380 and an Anytone 878 that I use for DMR, and a Unication U3. This is my new acquire, and it does do DMR, and it works on the DMR network for amateur radio. And it's about all I've used it for, so don't ask too many questions about one. But it is a fun mode. It is rather interesting to be able to see who you're talking to. When it comes to DMR, I like the fact that there's a talk group ID. There's some sort of verification that you are talking to the person you are talking to. I find that the talk groups on there are easier for me to use than, say, System Fusion or D-Star. To me, I don't like the audio quality of D-Star, and I do have some Fusion radios over here. You can see in a box. I have an FT5D. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet to use. And I have an FT70DR, which again I haven't used. So I'm actually in the market. I have the old MMDVM type of clone hotspot. I'm debating if I need to upgrade to a better hotspot, so to speak. I know that the Zoom spots are pretty popular. What do you guys think? Is it, for those of you who have used an MMDVM clone versus a Zoom spot, are they the same? Are they any better? Am I just going to spend $150 or more to get the same quality on a receiver? I don't know, but would love to know your thoughts on those. I mean, it's serving me well, but I don't know. I keep thinking that maybe if I upgraded, I could get a better experience. But it works, it runs, it sits in the corner, and there's that. So going through the list here, Dave, yeah, the Home Patrol 2 may handle simulcast at times because you're not getting the overlap. You're not receiving more than one site. You know, the bits and bytes and dits and dots are showing up in the right location at the right time. So it does work for you. And the key with that is to eliminate the simulcast. So if you can get it into a position that it only picks up one site, and when I say site, I mean transmitter location, you would definitely have a better experience with that radio. Again, that holds true with a lot of other radios that aren't meant for a simulcast environment. So attenuator, mismatch antenna, no antenna, paperclip antenna, whatever makes it work. The one radio I'm trying to listen to my neighboring county on, I have 20 dB of attenuation on it, and it just still doesn't seem to be enough. So with an inside antenna, I don't receive it at all. So I'm trying to find that happy medium on that radio. Let's see what else we have here in the chat. Any experience with Meshtastic? I never messed around with Meshtastic, so I have no feedback for you on that one. And Craftsman Tools has a great tool, which is an excellent for a go bag. All right, what Adam, thanks for the information on that one. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there when it comes to bags. Even like the cheaper Pelican cases. I know a lot of guys are going to Harbor Freight and getting some of their Pelican case knockoffs and are using those for heavy-duty go bags. And they seem to be working very well because you can cut the egg crate out on the inside and really protect the radios that way. Justin saying been in license for a little over a year and you're at the general level and you hope to take the extra by the end of the year. Very nice, Justin. Good luck with the extra test. It's a lot easier now when you don't need to know Morse code. I was a technician, no code for years, upgraded to general. And if you're looking for code, there's a great group called the Long Island CW Club. They're based on Long Island. That's how they got their start, but they're a global club. They've got Zoom chat groups, tutorials, live classes, a lot of resources available to learn code if you haven't gotten there yet. I am a member, not active. I really need to get back into learning code. My issue is dits and das start to sound the same to me after a while. So I guess that's the problem when you're listening to the dits and the das and not the combination of dits and das to hear the letters themselves. So that's something I personally struggle with there. Sharon saying you don't do digital, love DX and contesting. Yeah, that is a fun mode, especially when you have the resources available to be able to do that. It's hard to do it barefoot with a vertical antenna, but it is definitely still fun to do. That's my problem is vertical antenna, barefoot. Though I do have an amp over there in the corner, and I did run 220 to it. I still got to get it on the air. Can you explain the difference between upper and lower sideband? Okay, so this one is a good conversation, and I was actually thinking about doing this one for a short form video because it's cool. It really is cool. And you can find this on the VHF band. You can find this on UHF band. You can find this on, when I say VHF, I mean 144. But again, 50 megahertz is VHF. So our scanner radios start at 40-ish megahertz, just above CB, right? So we can cruise into the 50 megahertz ham band, I believe, on some of these scanners. And there'll be sideband there. So let's talk about sideband. Sideband is when you have an AM signal. And again, I'd love to be able to sketch this out for you, but we're going to just go on this. So you got the full band, right? So when you take it half and you just use the one side. So instead of using all of the bandwidth, right, there's two parts to an AM carrier, right? So when you use sideband, that means you're concentrating all of your resources on half the band and you're sending out, I'm going to be wrong on this one. I know I'm going to be wrong because it's been such a long time since I've talked about sideband, but you're concentrating your signal on just a modulation, or I forget what it is, to be honest with you guys, but you're not sending out the full signal, right? You're concentrating on upper or lower. So upper or lower basically is just what we're looking at when it comes to a standard based on where we're talking, I believe. So I know that when you're on 40 meters or lower, you use lower sideband. And when you're above 40 meters, you use upper sideband. So that's basically so that everybody is on the same platform there. That's the way I remember it. That's the way I think it works. That's just the way I've memorized it. I could be wrong here. It's been a long, long time since I've discussed lower and upper sideband, and that's exactly why I wanted to talk about it when it comes to short form videos, because I need to remind myself what it's all about. But I do know that when I was playing around with an SDR device and just scanning around on the 2-meter ham band, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, there's upper sideband here. And I remembered that you can do contesting and DX work and even rag chew on sideband on 2 meters. So I wanted to discuss that when on a short form video. So that we actually have just the modulation, no carrier. Thank you, Nick. I thought that was right, because the AM carrier stays right when you key up. So it's fun. As you tune it in, you can sound low or you can sound high, and it's a mode that as scanner radio users we don't talk about nearly enough. And that also, when it comes to the Icom gear, What makes the difference between a higher end Icom gear and a lower end Icom gear is the modes it can receive. Does it receive upper or lower sideband? Does it receive just AM or FM? And even when it comes to shortwave radio, right? Some of the lower end shortwave receivers just do AM, just do FM. Sideband isn't always included when it comes to some of those receivers. So I always like to look for lower and upper sideband, because if you're going to tune around on some of the shortwave bands, maybe you want to tune around and pick up some ham broadcasts as well. You never know what you're gonna do. Yeah, Bad Cat, same way, right? That's how I remembered that there was VHF sideband scanning through. It's like, wait a second, why is this sound look so funny? And then 144 megahertz ish here in the U.S. is where you'd find that. Especially if you could look around the VHF contesting time frame, you may find a lot of activity on VHF sideband. Going through some more here. I do not play around with IDAS or NXDN. Haven't messed around with that at all. It's not even, to be honest with you, on my radar besides scanning with it. So let's see. Getting down to the bottom here. Yep. So Bad Cat, you got the bottom of the chat here. So that's good. We are at the top of the hour here, guys. So I think this is a good time to I know I haven't given you guys a full hour, but again, it's almost top out of the hour here, and I have another call to jump on in a little bit of time. So with that, thank you very much. This will be available for replay if you've caught it midstream and you missed the beginning of it. So this will be available for replay really soon. And again, thank you so much for your support. And you can catch us. The podcast will be coming back if you haven't seen those. We do have some long form videos in the hopper, so we just got to get those edited and out to you. And also our shorts are where it's at right now. So I am working that muscle. I am using that to create content, answer questions that way, and just do some bits and bytes, so to speak, when it comes to it. And again, I do throw some of my sick and twisted humor into there. There is some Baofeng hate, so if you are sensitive and you don't like the Baofeng hate, I'm sorry. Once a week, I do that in there. I love to hate on the Baofeng. I do have my fair share of these radios, okay? So, again, there's nothing wrong with owning a couple of them. They're just fun to make fun of. So, there's that. So, again, you can catch us on this platform, right? We're on YouTube, on Shorts there, and also some of the ones that sound like a clock, or the Facebook, or the Gram. We're on all of those. It's all the same content, so... but again, if you're on the one that sounds like a clock and you haven't subscribed to us over there, please do us a favor and do that. We are trying to hit that milestone so that, so we can have a 10 in front of the number instead of just a single digit in front of the comma. All right, guys, we will do this again next month. Make sure you subscribe to this channel over here so you know when that video is about to drop or that live is about to drop. And so we'll see you guys in September. Thanks again, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.